Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is once again Pastor Yemi Omogboyega. God bless you. Thanks for patronizing our channel. If you are a returning subscriber, I'm very grateful. Those of you who have not subscribed, please do so. Don't waste time, do so. I know it will profit you to do so. Please remember to share our videos. Subscribe to our channel, then press the like button and then press the notification button so that you get to know when we upload new videos. At the same time, please do not fail to comment if you have comments to make. I want to learn from you just as I'm dishing out the little that I know and have. So we want to address this topic this morning. And the topic is judging from your own personal experience in Nigeria. Would you say or would you conclude that Nigeria is a good country, or at the worst case, a potentially good country? Are you proud of Nigeria? This is a very big and wide topic. Let me share the experiences of some people about Nigeria. Then I will talk about my own experience. I tell you how I feel, whether I can be proud to be a Nigerian, and can even say that I can die for Nigeria, or I can stay permanently in Nigeria, forever, throughout my lifetime, and that I would like to live and be buried in Nigeria. I will address all that. Now, the two experiences I will share are this. Kemi Badenoch lived in Nigeria to the age of 16 years before relocating to the UK. And history had it that her parents were previously in the UK. Remember that things were not going on well with them, allegedly, and they relocated to Nigeria and stayed in Nigeria and raised Kemi Badenoch in Nigeria until she was 16 years old. And even when Kemi Badenoch was sent back to the UK, she still experienced some problems there. Although in the hands of fellow Nigerians, those who ought to take good care of her, and they did not. She had to continue to struggle on her own independently until God answered her prayers. And today, she is the leader of the opposition party in the UK. And interestingly, Nigeria rose up to be proud of her, congratulated her, and Nigeria had some exchanges with her officially to remind her that she's a Nigerian and that Nigeria is proud of her and that she should be proud of Nigeria. But we all knew where that ended. Kemi Badenoch says, in the first place, I'm not a Nigerian. I'm a Yoruba person. I'm a Yoruba person. Secondly, she said, when they were talking about religion, she said, I am a cultural Christian. I'm not a religious Christian like the type that we have in Nigeria. That shocked the entire nation. Of course, every citizen is an ambassador of the nation he or she hails from. And this is the feedback that Badenoch had to give us, as a result of her experiences in Nigeria during her stay in her younger days, that Nigeria is not a country to be proud of, but she still had some soft spot for her ethnic origin, which is Yoruba, the Yoruba people. So that's neither here nor there. There are lots of arguments for and against. There are people who said, yes, the girl is right. Nigeria deserves what she said, and if a country does not do you any good, there's no need being proud of her. People like us said, the past is in the past and should remain in the past, that even if a country betrays somebody, that is not enough ground to say you will disown that country. Rather, you should see what you can do in your vantage position wherever you are to help remove those anomalies, those mischiefs, those things that made you have bad impressions. For instance, corruption. As Kemi Badenoch is there, if her party wins, she can influence Nigeria and do everything she can to make Nigeria better. For instance, she can put a policy in place that would discourage our corrupt leaders who are stacking money in the UK and at the detriment of the citizens of Nigeria, and so on and so forth. Now, let us go to the second side. Auntie Adoni staged a program yesterday. That's the 11th. I don't know whether it's a day before or 2 days before, but at least it was on the 11th of January 2024 that I watched that video where she made reference to a pastor, Femi Emmanuel or something, that's the name, that said those who are traveling abroad and staying there permanently, that they are suffering. Because I listened to that audio of him saying that, and that he is not against people traveling from Nigeria to any other country and returning, and that what he's interested in is that your home base is your home base, and you ought to be proud of your base, and that for those who get it right, they should be people who have interest in staying in their home base, then going to other places to just to have, maybe to make wealth or to better their lives. So he said, for instance, he has chosen to make Nigeria a place whereby it is his base, will always be there, but he even intends to, in his old age, try to travel all over the world, but must come home. Just like an Igbo man will say, Agaracha must come home. So for Agaracha to come home, there must be something of substance that bonds Agaracha with his home base. So, having said all this, people reacted, and indeed, the summary of the discussions were two. I remember that the Freeze has done this kind of video before, that those of them in Canada, in UK, in US, that they are really suffering and so on and so forth, that is it really worth it? That debate was very long. Then a lot of people share their frustrations, a lot of people share their pleasures. And then the one that Auntie Aduni just did, the summary that I can take away from it is the fact that it is not true that, in fact, that people are suffering in these other countries they are living in, or they are resident in, or they are working in, or they are staying in, just like. And this assertion was spread all over. I knew that someone called in from Cape Town, and he said that he really was happy with where he was, and that Nigeria could not have afforded to offer him the kind of leisure, the kind of luxury that he was getting. And this gentleman, according to him, was just a taxi driver, and is making ends meet, and it is well with him. Then some other people called in from the US. All of them, practically all of them, none agreed with the submission of Pastor Femi Emmanuel, that they even gave instances, example, because this is the practical example of their experiences, that many of them, practically all of them, said that their children were getting free education, and then in the area of health, that the government is doing a lot to make people happy, and they take good care of their health situation. None of them complained of lack of food. Instead, they mentioned the fact that there is luxury, and that what we call luxury in Nigeria are just basic needs that the governments of these advanced countries like the US, UK, and even Cape Town here are providing for their people. And that, therefore, the statement of that gentleman, pastor, is not valid at all. And that, let me also cite another example of people who have commented even before these two programs. I remember Dr. um, Lawal, what's her first name now? Dr. Mrs. I would say, I don't know whether it's Mrs. now, who is very vocal. Dr. Lawal, you may be familiar with her name now. And she once remarked during one of her programs that she just released just a week or so, that UK is so good. I think she's in the UK, yeah. She said UK is so good to her that, look, that she has been nursing cancer, diabetes, name them, a lot of diseases, for 24 years, that the government of that country took responsibility for taking care of her health, and that she's still living today, and it is well with her. Compared to when she was in Nigeria, as a master's degree holder, that she worked for the First Bank of this world for about, is it 15 or 10 or 15 years or so, and that she is today receiving a pension of 15,000 naira per month. That if you compare and contrast this with what is happening in the UK, Nigeria is not a country to reckon with, to be proud of. Then a lot more people came up with, but like I said, the summary is that these countries, even some African countries, I had somebody who was in Rwanda recently. The report that he gave was fantastic. That is a country where things work and things are properly handled. And he said, in that country, if you steal something, within seconds, the thief or the robber will be caught and be brought to book. And when you look at the hygiene side of it, that people will not suffer from things like communicable diseases in that country, because they are extremely neat and they are organized, and their lifestyle, portrays peace. And this is a country that was once in trouble, and that they are far above Nigeria. They've overtaken Nigeria since. And these countries in Africa here, we heard of the Gaddafi regime when in Libya, it is the government that is responsible for a couple's marriage, and the moment they are married, they will be given substantial money to start off their lives, and they will be supported by the government in all ways. And then the government will also give them a house of their own. So these are the various experiences. Then, indeed, for as far as America is concerned, the summary of the people's submission is, God bless America. Can you say that of Nigeria? God bless America. From the depth of the bottom of their hearts, they were blessing the country. And then those in the UK, the same thing is, everybody is saying that all is well with them. The only area that is close to what, the Pastor Femi Emmanuel mentioned, that, where you can say is the equilibrium or the point of meeting, that, you could say Pastor Femi Emmanuel, Pastor Femi Emmanuel could have been slightly right, is for those who just relocated And the people alluded to that fact that when you first come into a country, it will take some time to adjust. Indeed, they did the calculation. Averagely, it will take you like a minimum of 2 years for you to start finding your feet, because the situation may be rough and tough in terms of adjusting to the place and the system. So, bearing that, ditto Cape Town here in Africa, so, and other places, and that when you move to any other new location, definitely you will experience such things. And that bearing that, traveling abroad may even be the best for people to embark upon, and that practically all of them said that Pastor Femi Emmanuel's statement cannot be generalized, and therefore it is not the situation in these countries, and indeed that those countries, they really care for their people. I know I heard somebody in Sweden, I had somebody in the US, I had a lot of people in the UK, and I had a lot of people in some other African countries, even Ghana here. Reports reaching me from people who have lived there for several years of their lives before the idea of pushing them out happened, who had to relocate just because the government of Ghana pushed them out, was that country was excellent. None of these countries can be compared to Nigeria. This is the summary of the submission. Now, I told you it is from your own perspective. Please, your comments are very essential here. These people are talking from the perspective of what they consider Nigeria to be as a result of their experiences, their own truths about Nigeria. We need to share these things so that perhaps the government will be aware that we have this feedback as to how Nigeria is, or what Nigeria is in the hearts of Nigerians that are either in Nigeria or are elsewhere. And please, if anybody can help to push this message until the government is aware, I think it will help us a lot. Now, let me share a little experience about my own experience in Nigeria, and whether I can be proud of Nigeria, or whether I can say Nigeria is a country that there is hope for, that even though maybe we haven't got there, but we shall eventually get there as Nigerians. It is important for me to say that I was born on July 22, 1957. So I am today, by the special grace of God, 67.5 years old on earth. And all my life, I have lived in Nigeria. And I have also had the privilege of traveling to places like the UK on kind of holiday, and to the US a number of times for holidays, and I also have the privilege of having to travel to a place like Norway. So these 3 countries, I've had a first-hand knowledge of what they look like compared to Nigeria, because we have to compare and contrast. Nobody is saying that. I, as a person, have never said that Nigeria would have been what the US is, or what the UK is, or what Norway is. No. But does Nigeria have the hope of attaining the heights that these countries have attained eventually, at least, if we continue to move and improve in this country? Because those countries never got there, just started one day and got there one day. No, they started one day and slowly and steadily they got where they are, that people are proud of today. Is Nigeria on that trajectory? Even though it is not what we expect it to be now, do we see the hope that Nigeria will be like these countries? Let me talk briefly about the US. For the brief period that I stayed there, I mean that the moment I entered into the US, my laptop connected automatically with the Wi-Fi. I wasn't paying a dime. They didn't know me. I would say the only way they know me is through their immigration process. And that is by records. At least they know that I'm in the country, but they didn't know me as somebody that, they should really be doing that for. Then, the lights never blinked. And it was a cold season. Most of the time I went, well, cold season. I prefer that to the summer, because I have a good summer period here. I want to experience the coldness. So we have to be properly kitted. I knew that if one is not properly kitted and the houses are not warmed enough, I know that one will be in trouble. So, and maybe through the generosity of my people that I stayed with, I know that there's food supply, adequate food supply. But I know that it costs so much to get those things. But at least I could feel the taste of the fact that, there is no dearth of food supply. And of course, it may cost so much. And I thank my hosts who made those ones available for me. And let me just describe a few of the things. Like, even the vegetables, you look at them, they are so green, they are so beautiful. Even looking at them, you know that there is nutrition in them. And by the time it is prepared and you eat, you know you are eating something of value to your health. The banana, the ripe banana, the oranges, they were all spotlessly ripened and yellow and beautiful, that you would think that, well, I can't compare that with our own here. Then the water supply is something that is taken for granted. Then many other things. Then coming to the road infrastructure, the roads, my goodness, and everybody is living in peace. You sleep without considering anything, no fear of anything. And the place is very, very conducive. Even the trees and even the dead in North Carolina that I traveled to, I saw cemeteries of the soldiers that died in war fronts. and I saw how neat, indeed they are dead, are enjoying. There is nothing like all these ugly constructions of burial ground, you know, beautiful field. And that's why I'm already telling my children, a simple burial when I'm gone, no sophistication. I don't want those erections that you do, constructions that you do, that, of course, when this generation goes, nobody remembers it. Just a simple burial, and then a simple slab that probably describe who is there. That's enough for me, so that I don't put my next generation into unnecessary expenses. And not only that, in a simple place where people will be using, so that you don't even need, when I say using, maybe in a balcony. You can imagine if a graveyard is in a balcony, in order people will be using that. You don't need to be weeding the grass. And why I felt that it should just be like that is that, I mean, the place will be neat for as long as the place is being used. And like when I saw my mother's grave, when about 7 to 10 years after she passed away, even though we concreted, we did the slab and we did everything, I was shocked to see that an acacia tree has grown, sprouted right from the spot where my mother was buried, where her bones remained. So that woman body would have fertilized that acacia such that the acacia tree grew and penetrated the slab. Now we had to go and reconstruct it. I wasn't happy to see that because, I mean, so I went there and reconstructed it. But when my children go there, vanity upon vanity. So that's why sometimes if you have your graveyard in your compound, even though legally it's one of those things that the law frowns at, but it's a practice because a lot of people prefer to sleep in their houses. I love to sleep in my house. And then that is just by the way. The grave, the dead also are well taken care of. I love that country. I love that country. I mean, so I can join those who are saying, God bless America. And those who are in the UK too, I know that I've been there. Mama Charlie's area, the heart of London. I know what London looks like. And the only crazy thing in London or in these advanced countries that I traveled to, which I don't like, is their traffic. The drivers speed a lot. Make a mistake of crossing the road at the wrong time, you will be dead. The rest will be story. So that's one thing. It's not like Nigerians are crazy too, but here there's still an element of human consideration. You know how to manipulate yourselves, especially when you are coming to Lagos area. And I know that that is dictated by the population. Everybody is in a hurry to get to where they are getting to. The same thing in those countries. I knew that if one made a mistake there, I remember somebody who traveled there, who is popular here in Nigeria, went to the US and rammed into a speeding vehicle, and it was her corpse that was flown to Nigeria. So those of you who are traveling to all these countries are not like Nigeria. They speed a lot. They drive recklessly, though they obey the laws. But they speed a lot, and so that's the only thing that I fear most in them. Otherwise, every other thing is comfort. So I also join hands. I've never seen any of the people that travel to these countries that are so disadvantaged. I mean, those who went there legally, because I saw two types of people there. Who went there? Those who went there legally and are able to get engaged, I can see that uniformly their lives are transformed for the better. So that is one thing. Then those who are, like I said, I saw two types of people there. I was at the Imperial College premises. That's where I went for my training. Then, in the heart of London. And two things attracted me. Within the premises of the college, and I saw two girls, Nigerians of Yoruba extraction, crying profusely. Why are we here? Oh, why are we here? Oh, we never knew it would be like this. Oh, we would not have come. Oh, this and that. They were wallowing in poverty. They were wallowing in distress. So when you look at that, you see that, these people like this, as of now, you don't need to be told that they have no papers and they have to really suffer. Maybe that's what Femi Emmanuel is referring to. But if you enter these countries legally, I don't think that will be the case. So that is why I always urge people to let people go to. If you are traveling to these countries, go legally, and then the little adjustment you need to make will not be as difficult as for you to go to the streets and be groaning that you are suffering. So then, and the second thing I saw within the premises was that, these old trees, they wanted to fell them, and they brought in the cranes, and we were just within the surrounding. They brought in the technology, the cranes, and these trees, from the branches to the trunk, were cut systematically, and they never fell on the ground. They were, just as the crane was cutting them, it is packing them inside a waiting vehicle. And they were cut to beautiful sizes. And we were right there. And nobody said, "Oh, move away, oh, the tree wants to fall, everything." I said, these people have gone far. When here, trees are still falling upon those who are felling them, when are we going to get to this kind of situation? So these are in Norway, for instance, look, not only do you smell the air, the freshness of the air, of the oxygen in that place, you taste it. You taste the air, and everywhere is beautiful, wonderful. So, and the topography of the place, of course, differs. The places I visited differs from the ones in the US or UK that I've been to. So one thing that I noticed there was, even I saw that Norway is, if not that I knew I traveled to a country called Norway and I saw the beautiful environment is different from Ekiti land, I would have said I was in Ekiti, because they have all the rocks and all these beautiful, beautiful things. So these are things that one can say about all these countries. Apart from that, everything is orderly. Healthcare, excellent, everything. So These are my experience. So coming to Nigeria, I told you when I was born and my current age. What will I say Nigeria has done to me or given to me that will make me proud? It is so difficult. The only thing, maybe, yes, the only thing that I would say Nigeria has done for me is the fact that Nigeria gave me free education from primary 1 to primary 6. It is foundational. It is very essential. What I am today, I am by the grace of God Almighty and by the grace, the goodness of Nigeria. Because if I didn't have that opportunity to enter that school, I would have been an ordinary peasant farmer or a hunter today. I thank Nigeria profusely for that free primary education, and may God continue to bless even the dead and the families they left behind of the leaderships of the Western region then that provided this platform for everybody who is willing to have his or her way. Because left to my family background, I don't think my 2 legs would have stepped into any four wall of any formal school. So they took me up to the level. Though difficult to fly, they nursed me. It's like a mother weaning a child from breast milk so early, prematurely. Thank God today, I think the government has kind of is enforcing that parents should give their children breast milk for 6 months consistently, not mixing anything with it because of the health benefits of this. And God knows why he made this breast available to these children, because before God does a thing, he makes everything that will make it work available even before you get there. We are talking of that another day. So, Nigeria did me that special favor. Whatever I become, so I'm grateful to Nigeria. That can make me to say I am proud of Nigeria, particularly the Western region that God brought me to. And because when I compare it with the northern region and saw the number of out-of-school children up till 2025 January, and the number of children that are being recruited into Boko Haram, into enrolled into these Almajiri schools, into those who are even having some education, no matter how little, then who are also engaged in these killings of farmers and kidnapping and everything that is happening. I saw that Nigeria has hurt the youths to their bone marrows. Nigerians produce these children to come and suffer in vain. Those who joined the terrorist groups, who are being killed by the day, they are born to some families. And because they are not exposed, they found that as a means. Those who are kidnappers, because they are not exposed and they are suffering and they don't know what to do, and they settled for all this kidnapping and hooliganism and all sorts of anti-social behaviors in a country that are, in fact, if you see the level of insecurity in Nigeria, it is caused by the reckless nature by which Nigerians give birth to children and care less for them. And it is in that region that it is very prevalent, because there are too many brains looking for help that they didn't get. So that I give to Nigeria. But then what else did they do that I would say is good? In area of security, insecurity had been there from when I was young. It's just that it has advanced greater than what it was then, today. But all the same, can I give it to Nigeria that they provided security, enough security? I wouldn't say yes. Is it in area of food security? Food security here that we are talking about. The moment the Fulanis were killing the farmers, the people ran into their various homes. So we don't have food security today. So those who are even doing the farming, let us examine their lives. They are all peasant farmers. I got engaged in farming, professional farming, for 10 years. On mechanized, manual farming that will do everything by manual labor. The only technology we have is I bought one weeding machine, that was able to weed for me. I have to operate it to weed for me. That's the only major tool that I saw is mechanized. Every other thing is cutlasses and hoes. And the labors, okay, at a point I hired tractors. And to get the tractors to do this desired job, some of them will collect money and will go, promise to come, and they won't come. That's where mechanization would have come, because my intention, I went for commercial farming, and I was farming at a point up to 30 hectares. That's 15 times 30, you know what that means. So I experienced a lot. If you say, what does Nigeria give to me now, I would say that they gave to me nothing. They killed my instinct, they killed my vision, they killed my interest, they frustrated me out of agric business. So I wouldn't give that to them. Now, when I was young, another thing is, maybe I would say, what did Nigeria not give to me? Nigeria did not give me education beyond that primary 6. If it were to get to secondary school, my journey would have been easier and better. Let me compare myself with somebody who rose from the same background with me. I always call him my twin brother, Dr. Apoki. Dr. Apoki rose from totally similar background, poor background, minus 0 poverty, like myself. But he had an advantage over me in the sense that, rough and tough as it was, he was able to go straight to secondary school, paid the fees, went to secondary school, paid the fees, went to the university and became a medical doctor. But in my case, secondary school would have eluded me, but for the fact that God laid it upon my heart to struggle to get to that level. My version of secondary school is the General Certificate of Education. That is for private students, which was always conducted around November every year during our time. So I had to start work at the age of 19 as a laborer to be able to fund my education, professional and basic. Professional in the sense that I had to be enrolled in a secretarial institute, not in a formal college. Private institute where we were paying 2 naira per month, where my brother enrolled me into. And those subjects that I offered there, English typing, shorthand, secretarial studies, office practice. So because of my interest, I added literature. I added English literature because I had the interest in writing and reading and also all that. So I had to pick those subjects. Then in area of languages, I added Yoruba, of course, that's common. CRK is my subject. And then business methods, all those things. That was the requirement for the secretarial profession that I chose. So you can now see, I am pursuing both. I took these subjects to WAEC, to GC level later, to have the basic qualification that could qualify me for higher or for tertiary institution. I looked at the area I wanted to go, the legal profession, and I knew that what I needed was the arts subjects, and I chose those subjects so that it will be in line for me to be able to attain my desire to become a lawyer. Side by side, professionally, I was engaged in the typing, shorthand, and other secretarial subjects or stuffs that were required in that profession, to the point that eventually, by the special grace of God, I was able to make the highest point in that profession, both in academically and professionally. Indeed, I got up to 140 words per minute. If those of my generation who knew what that meant would appreciate what I'm saying. London, the Royal Society of Arts London, in shorthand, 140 words per minute. I passed in it. And in typing, I got, with first class, 50 words per minute. So these were, whatever I choose them well and pursue them until they get to the point I wanted. And it wasn't long that I knew that secretarial studies, secretarial profession would not last long in my life, because I had a higher vision of becoming a lawyer. And in between, one or two other professions, personnel management, I did the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management courses, and I excelled there too. So, all that. So the path that I followed was the path of self-making myself, with God Almighty supporting me, and with people that He sent to me who intermittently favored me, and either by way of prayers, by way of good counseling, by way of finances. By way of prayers, I know that my mother was sleepless. By way of finances, I know that my brother Ajiboye, who enrolled me in that lesson, did marvelously well. That was what he understood, and that was the ability. That was all he could do for me, and he did it for 3 months before he withdrew the subsidy. That I had to look for work to continue to raise myself. And I will remember people like Chief H.A.V. Omoba, who indeed pampered me. I worked for him, he pampered me. How can I not remember somebody like Mrs. Mojisola Ogun, who was my boss? direct boss. I was her shorthand typist, you call them, or stenographer, attached to her, just like a secretary to her. Who paid for my GC examination? Or can I not remember somebody like Mr. Adeaga, Clement Adeaga? I hope and pray that he's still alive. This is a man who told me when he saw what I was doing, he said, come, Yemi, I can understand, I can see your struggles. I know that God will see you too. And he recommended to me to go and read. There is a book called Trejudo, English, practical English, said. And then English companion said, these are the books that will help you so much in English language. And I went and bought them. And then added to when I completed the secretarial basic qualifications, academic qualifications, I now began to enroll in some other institutions of learning that were directly secondary school coordinated and were basic qualification oriented. There are some private secondary schools that were offering evening classes. No, imagine that, those kind of experiences, compared to somebody who went to the secondary school and straight and he became a medical doctor. Today, he has excelled. I'm just using him as an example, not envying him. I give glory to God for his life. Today, he attained the height that anybody could ever think. He created a niche for himself, and if you check, is somebody to listen to, that young ones should listen to. Adults likewise, like us, and many more should listen to. Even religious leaders should listen to, because he was able to overcome the delusion of religion. If not, it would have been sunk. Those of us who went into it didn't realize that we are not actually serving God, we are serving man, until we were over 60 years, because we didn't understand the Bible. He read the Bible, he understood it, and he quickly carved his own path. And today he's serving his God and is influencing the world for good, which would have been the vision of any person. And in the area of family accomplishment, he accomplished so much. I'm not advertising. I joined his mentorship group, I think around October 2024. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing there. So if you can also listen to his presentations, he's somebody of a world-class stature. So let's leave that. Compared to me, that, as I was trying to battle to get my primary and secondary school education, and at the same time doing professional courses, and the same, I wasted so much time. If I showed you the portmanteau of my certificates in secretarial, you will marvel. There's nothing that anybody could ask for in the secretarial line that I didn't have, but I wouldn't have wasted so much time to get if I knew better. So in the process, I was also losing time. But thank God, who remedied who rescued me. So it's not a pleasant experience. This is where Nigeria didn't help me at all. If they had given me free education up to secondary school level, the story would have been. And unfortunately too, my mother, forget about father. I was living with a father that is not my father, my biological father. And I was bearing his name for over 36. I changed my name at the age of 36 years. That was the year we gave birth to my last son, our last child. You can imagine that trauma. You discovering, and your father, your biological father, and then you are returning to your biological father at the age of 36. I went through all those ones. So, and unfortunately, both the biological and non-biological, they didn't even have the means. They were equally poor. So the biological one, even if I had been with him from the date of my birth till that age, could not have been able to contribute significantly to my secondary education. That's the truth. I had to struggle from there. And, well, my siblings who had the opportunity, who eventually, had the opportunity of going to secondary school and all that, they knew what they experienced. The influence of my father could have helped. Sometimes maybe when he had to borrow money from friends to, occasionally support them. But to God be the glory today. The man had good children. I want to tell you, male and female, all of us, we struggled. Even though we are not living together, our destinies, we took them in our hands. And today, God has rewarded even the Baba before he left, and our parents for good. My mother, where is the power? Where is the financial power? That is why financial sovereignty is very important for everybody, male or female. So I went through all this. And in the process, time came calling for me to marry, because I'm somebody that plans my life. Even though it's not documented somewhere, I knew when to do what. When the time to get married came, and I knew I had to prepare for it for a long time before I can find the right partner. I did that for, I said, 5 years gap. So at about the age of 28 minus 5, that at the age of 23, I didn't want to go the way of luxury, zipping and unzipping. I didn't want to be a father by accident. I wanted somebody that would be a wife, real wife. And the discipline I had from the CAC church that I was there helped me to control my, my blala. Because I was even afraid. I knew that marriage is responsibility, not an achievement. If you want to make it an achievement, you look at yourself and say, I'm 30 or 50 years, I want to marry quickly. You will call it, you have attained the status of a married person. But are you responsible? Are you a responsible married person? So from 23, I started looking for, can I say 23? That would be like, add 2 to it, because my wife and I, we courted for 7 years before marriage. That's to tell you, because I actually was one of those who raised my wife from, can I say childhood? Yes, from childhood, because I wouldn't say she was, maybe she would be about, 12, 13 years old then. So you can see that we started moving together. Why run to a young girl? That's another story for another day. If you had access to my autobiography, then you will have the full details of what I'm saying. This is just a paraphrase. So this kind of journey shouldn't have been so if Nigeria were to be organized. That suffering was too much. Then after all the secretariat and whatever, then I started pursuing the main vision. By the time I now pursue the main vision of becoming a lawyer, my physique, my energy has dwindled. I could not run. At the age of about 46 that I graduated. And I was already, I've been working from 19 years to 46 years. And to switch over to the practice of law, the energy, the youthfulness was no longer there. So my main profession became like a passive profession. I was doing some other things. God made a way for me. I attained my goals, but God gave me a place where I could be able to take care of myself and my family in terms of career, lucrative career. To God be the glory. And it worked. So let's leave that, because my autobiography is about, I think one of them is about 300 and something pages. So you can imagine for me talking about it here. So that's not the story for the day. Now, after all this, Nigeria, let me talk about another thing that Nigeria did not give to me. What an added pain, added burden, added torture for somebody of my status who wanted to be somebody in life, not to have common electricity to read. And in spite of the fact that I was working and I wanted to read, so the time I had to read, no electricity. So I have to improvise. I have to buy a lantern, I had to buy a candle, I had to, all those things. They are burdens, they are, those sufferings were too much for my young age. I had to sleep outside because I was squatting. I cannot disturb the schedule, the sleeping schedule of my benefactor. I cannot. I had to sleep outside. This suffering was too much. But thank God, they didn't go in vain. I attained my goal. That's what I'm saying, that some of you don't depend upon the government. Don't depend upon your parents. They may even be rich or having the capability. God may not allow them to do it. Anything can stop them from doing it. Death can take them away. Don't rely on anybody. Depend upon God and depend upon your ability to do something. Determine and pursue it. That's the great benefit that people like. It's painful. Anytime I remember Nigeria for that, I'm not happy. I'm not happy. You can imagine people like me, this talented, multi-skilled, I worked in an international organization for 24 years, the last 24 years of my life. My ratings were high, and I was rated as a multi-skilled somebody. I fitted to move to so many professions and so many departments. And it was so stated in my appraisal, and I was getting the best of both individual and team performance bonuses every year. And this runs into thousands of naira. By the time I combine both the team as well as the individual performance bonus in a year, it was so substantial that I was able to train my children. That will tell you, if somebody like me had the opportunity, a situation where you have free education and you have everything on, light on, everything, and my subjects were properly coordinated and selected for the course I wanted to, like Dr. Apoki, I would have triumphed more than I did today. But to God be the glory, I didn't lose out. Just that I had to still keep hope alive, even at 60, going to 68. I thank God for my achievements, but they were painfully gotten. Nigeria did not do well for me in this area. Nigeria did not do well for me in this area. Nigeria did not do well for me in this nation. If you want to say, let me be proud of Nigeria, can I be proud of a country like Nigeria? Will it not amount to stupidity? But one thing is this: I'm a man of God. I studied my Bible very well. Nothing is given to man. There's nothing that a man receives except it be given from above. What is my grouse? Nigeria didn't do it. My parents who are willing didn't have the capacity to do it. And God gave me the vision, the special ability. Thank God for my mother who started my vision and who influenced my going to school, that I keyed into, that I ran with. I flew with that vision that I must be educated. I paid the price, CE, to get the prize that I'm getting today. I would have lived and died wretched, and I would have remained at the level or even below the standards of those who gave birth to me. But today, to God be the glory, is not so. So, like Kemi Badenoch, if I have these testimonies against Nigeria, is it the roads that we travel on? I bought my first brand new Beetle car in 1984 at Doyin Motors at Orile Gamu, 3,700 and something, brand new. But before that car was like 7 to 8 years, it had become rickety because of bad roads, driving in floods, mud water, salty water in Lagos, and hitting a lot of gallops when going to Ekiti. You know, as a youth, I want to know places, and I traveled. Even the roads were still better then, but as time went by, these roads, I see how the part of the vehicles were rusting away because there was no good road, and the arms of the vehicles would sometimes cut, break, and in gallops. So, if I want to consider all this, no, I don't remember, and I remember God Almighty and those that God sent to me. This is my experience with Nigeria. It is bad enough for me to say that this country is bad. A country never to be proud of. It is so bad. And people are still experiencing that. Do you know the number of children, out of school children, in the northern area of Nigeria? They didn't even have the vision, talk less of somebody or they themselves pushing their vision. And at the end of the day, they ended up being wasted away. That's Nigeria. But in the south here, parents care. Even though they don't have money, they express what they want their children to be. And the children, if they have ears, they will key into it like I did and run and forget about pleasure in their early lives. Sacrifice something to get to where they want to get to so that their tomorrow will be better. That was my experience with Nigeria. No wonder Badenoch is saying, it's not all children that will see things the same way. Badenoch said, I'm done with Nigeria. But will I say I'm done with Nigeria? I still didn't say so. Because I knew that all my efforts would have still been in vain if God did not intervene. So God made it happen. A lot of people set the goals I set, and they don't get there. Today I give glory to God. All our children are graduates. If you are talking of your children attending private university, my children attended private university. If you are talking of your children attending public university, federal university, I have children, a child who graduated from university, federal university. If you talk about state universities, whatever, I have 2 children who graduated from state universities. All of them came out with flying colors. But another thing I would have not loved Nigeria for is the fact that these children of ours got good qualifications, but they didn't get commensurate work that could have easily compensated for our efforts and for these children to fly far, far higher than we are. We're still praying to God. They are doing something, but for a parent that has vision, that's not the standard. We give glory to God for what we have, while we pray for more and are still working to get things better. We deserve better deal in Nigeria. And that reminds me, sometimes that I would have said, okay, if my children had been abroad, did I have the capacity? Then, maybe they would have done better. True, talk. But did I have the capacity, financial capacity? Did I have the exposure to do it? One or two of my children will never allow me, Daddy, I want to go overseas, I want to go overseas, I want to do this. Some of them even fought me. Some of them said, oh, we didn't know what to do. You didn't, everything, all these efforts, amounting to you didn't do enough. Nigeria caused that. Because even with all my lucrative earnings, I was only struggling to get these children to where they are. It would have been my joy today if they had, you can imagine, electrical electronics, 2-1. Are they supposed to be in other industry other than maybe oil industry or construction industry? Then the oil industry is collapsing. Construction companies are not using them. They have to look for alternative. Another one, a geologist with 2-1. Teaching at present, is that supposed to be his area of specialization? Is what he's doing commensurate with area? But we thank God he's doing something and doing well there too. But if somebody like that had worked in an oil industry, they would have excelled better than they are doing now. God, I know that my God will make a way for them. Another one, in ICT, the same 2-1. Another one in, what do you call it, in history and international law, who should have been working in embassies and all that, working as a teacher. Thank God for what we got, but it could still have been better. And God will make a way for them. So it makes it look as if all our efforts as parents were not enough. Because by now, it should have been that these children have really settled to the point that they can really bless us more abundantly. That's the reality of life. That's what Nigeria did not make available. No good, suitable, befitting employment opportunities. Can I thank Nigeria for doing that for me after all my efforts? My wife had a secondary school education when we married. We both work as part-timers to get our degrees. My wife ended up having masters in financial administration. I ended up having BL with honors in law. So, apart from other professions, by the way. So, will I say Nigeria is a country to be proud of? It was like those who are crucifying Christ. And Christ said, forgive them for they knew not what they were doing. I forgive Nigeria, for Nigeria did not even know the evil that they perpetrated over my life, not only my life, and the next generation of me. As I'm saying this, I'm talking from my perspective. You will talk from your own perspective. I want to see it in your comments. What did Nigeria do to you that you can be proud of, that you can say Nigeria holds the hope for the future? or is benefiting you today. No wonder everybody's jackpine. And when this pastor, Femi Emmanuel, said, those who are traveling and suffering, is it not better to go and suffer over there and live a life that is ideal than to remain here? I still remain here. If I had my way today, if I say I want to relocate, if I have my way and I have the means, I will relocate for the rest of my life. Maybe I will now say, when I'm waiting for my dying day, I will now say, return me. If I have my way, I say, return me to Nigeria 2 days or 3 days before my death, so that at least you won't be transporting a dead body. That's what I would have done. Limiting opportunities, limiting people's destiny, destroying people's destiny. Nigeria is known for that. That is the truth. At least my own truth. I don't know about yours. I know that some of you are from wealthy homes and then you had it smooth. I didn't have it. I should be an average. My situation is the situation of average Nigerian. Those of us who have visions, who are ready to fly, we were pressed down. We were bogged by heavy loads. And then Nigeria version of religion also nearly destroyed my destiny. I told you, in academics, the doctrines of my church was, we didn't come to this or we didn't. So just be reading the Bible. Unless God, if not that God gave me the heart to understand, how would I would have lost my bearing academically. I don't know where I would have been today. In marriage, they said, you cannot marry from another religion. I married from the Muslim background, and they said they won't even do wedding for us. I didn't mind. Take the 7 years of our courtship and the number of years of our, from wedding to now, is 47 years we have been living peacefully. My wife has been wonderful. Religion would have made me to miss it, to miss the mark. I would have probably chosen somebody that is not compatible with me because of religion. That's the type of Nigeria religion. That's the type of religion that Nigeria. And today, I am among the crusaders of the fact that Nigerian religion is not the religion that the Bible is teaching. The religion that God wants, that's acceptable to God, is the one that cares. James 1:27 cares for the poor. I was poor. Nigeria did not care for me beyond primary 6 education. The widow, the orphans. I became an orphan at a point. Nigeria did not care for me. Nigeria did not care for my mother, the widow. Would have been wasted, but for God, but for vision of a good mother, and for the cooperation of a good child with a good mother who is determined that her children will be educated, and the child who is determined that he must be educated. That's who I am. So many people see me as critics, as even sometimes when I attack religion, you think I talk about the so-called revered GOs who have misled us, who knew the truth and did not teach us the truth. And we're taking our money, taking our tithes, the little we have, even with the suffering we're having, you can imagine the population of people in all these big churches paying 10% of their incomes, something that Hebrews 7 outlawed, that is being jettisoned. Hebrews chapter 7 verse 5 says, when you were paying it, you were paying it according to the law. But it says the law has been removed. A new commandment, a new covenant has come, a new testament that replaced your tithe. 13 laws. A new covenant that brought about love. People like us who are suffering. You are still manipulating us. You will ask for donations, you will ask for first fruit, you will ask for um, um, love offering, you will ask for welfare offering, you will ask for building offering, you will ask for convention offering, you will ask for congress offering, you will ask for. You will even ask us to travel from wherever we are to come and camp in your camps. You made us our visions to be obscured, that we cannot think outside the box. I was in that evil camp for 60 years of my life. I was religiously trapped. That's what the kind of Nigeria that we have today. Nigeria does not offer me good roads to travel to Ekiti. The moment I get to Ibadan, the trouble comes. I have backache, and irrespective of what that road is, my backache will suffer. I had to support my back with an instrument, at least to hold my back firm. That's what Nigeria offered me, bad roads. Whereas if I travel from Lagos to Ibadan, no trouble, peace, joyful, but just veer off to Ife Road. From there you start dancing Kokoma. That's what Nigeria offered me. Till today, the light I'm using now is a solar light. You call it improvised light. I wouldn't say this government has not at least made impact, but the impact is too insignificant compared to what is needed. It is a basic need. You have to sink your own borehole. You have to dig your own gutter. That's what Nigeria offered me. So will I say I'm proud of Nigeria? Now, let's look at it. A nation that you will be proud of. Let me talk about Nigeria briefly. You see, a nation that will provide all those facilities that her citizens need must be a nation that have something of sale value. Like Elijah will tell that woman, what do you have that is of sale value? If you don't have something that you can give to the world to get returns from, to better your own life, you will not survive in this world. You will suffer till your dying day. I didn't want to be in that category. Now, what something of sale value does Nigeria have? One, Nigeria has unlimited mineral resources and are tapping into only two that are major: oil and gas, coming from the same source. The gold that are being exploited in Elisha and up to, I think, Borno or Zamfara today, they were being done, let me see, maybe they are paying royalties to the government or whatever, but they are not still being done properly. They are being stolen. We heard of the bomb blast that happened at Bodija area the other day. The explosives used for all these explorations stocked in a residential area, and that went haywire and killed several people. This is what Nigeria offers. How can such dangerous objects be kept in where people lived? Until today, we didn't know the outcome. Or lives were lost. That's what Nigeria offered. So, like I said, God gave Nigeria unlimited mineral resources to tap into. God gave Nigeria intellect. Sometimes I laugh. If Toby Adegboyega was to act positively, you can imagine the kind of genius he is to have held the entire Britain to ransom. Even though when you think you are smart and you are manipulative and you think you are playing your game, just as I would say he has done, doing things that you say, prove it, according to law. Today, living a flamboyant life, and today, he cannot really account for what, and he's living illegally there, and he's living a flamboyant life. Thank God he lived that flamboyant life. He would have been underneath milking the world, and would have been thinking that he's a man of God, true. No man of God is proud. No man of God does things that are shady that people will be suspecting whether we don't even know. A real man of God does not give room for doubting, for him to be or her to be doubted. There's no angel. He will not be an angel, but he will be within the tolerable bracket of honesty and integrity. Not that he will be pursued to go in court. You have been in court for several years. Look at the intellect, ingenuity. Nigerians are creative. If they want to be crafty, they will be crafty 100%. If they want to be good, they will be good 100%. Badenoch is one of the good sides. Kemi Badenoch, Femi Adesina, Chinua Achebe, Wole Soyinka, and many others from the northern extraction. Too many to mention. You have intellectuals. Even imagine President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Look at the circumstances surrounding him. Yet, that did not deprive him from getting to the presidency. How did he do it? Everything about him, like Apoki will say, shrouded in mystery, intellect. Nigeria is endowed with intellect. And if you look at that, that is human resources. Nigeria is blessed with, when I say mineral resources, you know that I can be mentioning many others. Too many to mention. If I'm listing that, all these things, we can sell our intellect. We are selling them in the US. Nigerian doctors in the US, at the time President Jimmy Carter was there, were 27,000 that are doing exploits in the medical section. Maybe that will remind me of another thing that Nigeria does not give to me. Does Nigeria have provision for old age? Thank God that I worked in a good organization, that I'm able to receive pension. What is Nigeria giving me? You have old age benefits in these other countries. Nigeria is offering me bad road. And then even the medications that I am taking today cost a huge sum of money. If not that God is sending help, even my pension, my whole year pension would not have maintained me for my medical in a year, if not for the grace of God, the love of God, the mercy of God. That's what Nigeria offered me, that I should be grateful for. So as I tell you, Nigeria has something of sale value. Too many to list. Our sun, our space is a resource. The sun, the solar system that is there is a good one. Underneath the ground are treasures. On the surface of the earth are treasures that we can convert to wealth that can be redistributed to the people. So the government failed to create an egalitarian society, which is at the heart of God plan. That is 2 Corinthians chapter 8. And the religious people will now come and say, give, without consideration to what God says in that 2 Corinthians chapter 8, that the church should gather money and redistribute. Instead, they are using it, they are investing it, and still impoverishing the people the more with fake promises, with threats that they will die if they don't pay. Things will be tight for them. What a deceitful nation, and the government cannot control them. That is Nigeria for you. So Nigeria has ample resources to give Nigerians a better deal. Like I said, nobody said Nigeria would have gotten to the level of Britain or UK because it took time. I mean, it was the US or the Norways of this world. I knew it took time for them to get, but where we are is not commensurate with the resources that the Lord has given to us. Instead, our leaders use their brains in negative terms. They travel to all these good countries, but they never come to replicate them here, what they see there. They are contented with their own families and pockets. The intellect that the Lord has given to them, the IQ that the Lord has given to them, they use it negatively for their personal gain. They weaponize poverty so that they can remain in control. But I know that one day God will seize power from them all. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has 2 more years. 2 more years plus. 2 plus more years to come to see what he can do to really make a difference in this nation. I know he's raising some fundamental systemic initiatives, policies that will eventually lead to this. But he has to really be bold enough to sustain it. And then, two, the issue of the continued existence of Nigeria. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should take a decisive decision. Anybody who wants to advance. Anybody who does not want to advance. And when I say anybody, I'm talking of region. Let us regionalize so that everybody will manage their affairs. And anybody who wants to run fast will run. Anybody who wants to remain in the gutter can remain there. And what is more now, I think we are unanimous now. If Fulanis are calling for the North to go, we are now unanimous. Let Yoruba nation be, let IPOB nation be, and then let the center hold us together. Let everybody has control over their resources. Let everybody contribute to the center. And let everybody take care of his own people. It has happened before, and it's the best for us. If somebody say they want to go because of that, let them go. I will vouch for Yoruba nation. We are capable, we can do it. I will vote for the Yoruba nation if all that fail. But when we regionalize, it's the same thing as having Yoruba nation. Yoruba will rule Yoruba. Whatever they like, let them, however they like them, let them do it. If they are corrupt, let corruption kill those who tolerate them. So I think that's what Nigeria needs to look into. The government, President Bola Ahmed, should have the effrontery. I know they will be threatening him for the second term. It doesn't matter. I know that God will do, God who put you there will do what he has sent you to do. The tax reforms of this, how can a group of people or a region say, we don't want to pay tax? Just because it's getting into the bone of contention for this nation. Then they are revolting. Everybody should be backward. Is that what you are saying? A professor who cannot influence his own people to deliver. All states in Nigeria are collecting revenue from the same source. In your own states, we don't know what to do with it. The people are not benefiting from it. Just others are doing the best they can for now, though the best is not even enough. We have to ask for more. All the governments in the Yoruba nation states should do more. The roads, let's see the impact. Lagos State reconstructed federal roads when the roads were really terrible. Why are other states not doing so? Why are you killing us, breaking our spines on the roads? Nigeria has the resources to tame the insecurity that is going on. The current president is trying to make sure that, the Fulanis return to their place and everybody returns to their farms. Peasant farming, which is not even acceptable anyway. The government should be thinking of mechanized farming. How do you enslave people? You don't give them education, so you say they are born to go and be tilling the ground manually. That's what we are doing nationwide. It is bad enough. Only 4 good farmers, well-funded farmers, can feed this whole nation, and we have export. Why are we not thinking of that? Fix the roads. Let there be employment opportunity. I've given you the practical example of the labors of parents only for their children, not to be profitably engaged. After all the labors, please create more job opportunities for the people, for the young ones. Anything short of that is bad governance, and already the people have expressed their minds. End to bad governance. People have been silenced, but we are waiting. Will President Bola Ahmed Tinubu end bad governance in Nigeria? God has put you there. The voice of opposition is there, correcting you. Those of us who say we love you because it is God that places you there, we are still praying for you. But do the needful. This suffering is too much. Let food be on the table. Mechanize the farming. I'm happy you said tractors are coming, but don't let it tarry for too long before these tractors come. Send these Fulanis away from our bushes. I was at a college the other day. 2 dead bodies were brought from the farm that these grazers killed untimely. I'm a farmer. I farm on the land for 5 years. There's no single year that I was able to harvest my cassava. Cows will eat them up. I got frustrated. I sustained losses as a farmer, and till today, I had to abandon farming. Killing good visions. I was farming up to 30 hectares of land until I was frustrated out. Make policies that will make entrepreneurs survive in their businesses and make profit and go into expansion. Recently, thank God for wonderful children. My children, one of them and his wife, gathered together. They will watch this video. They gathered together. They said, let us plan, have a long-term plan. These children have good minds, but they don't have the means to implement it. They said, Daddy, let us farm. Let us go into agric. When I told them my history of agric, they got weakened. Because the government will frustrate you, nature may frustrate you, and your neighbors will frustrate you, and what is it? Labor robbers, thieves will frustrate you, even amongst your own workers. Then inflation will top it all, and you will not be able to go. How can life be like that for people? God did not create us for this. So please, this video is long. It's deliberately long, because if I don't express this thing in one stretch, if I made it part 1 and part 2, some of you may not get it. Take your time. If you listen to it to a point and you are busy, pause it, note the counter, and know where, and then continue. If it is 3 times you are able to watch it before you finish watching it, jolly good. But let the message sink. Then those of you Nigerians too, we have our problems. We are grossly indisciplined. We have no principle. It is more prevalent in the north to produce children indiscriminately, but the south is not left out too. Any family that is producing more than 2 children now must be families that are really capable of taking care of the excess numbers. It is better you have just 2 children, you give them the best, and they get there in life, than to have 4, 6, 7, and then just make them to come and suffer and roam the streets and suffer until they leave this world. It is wickedness on our part. We should curtail the rate at which we give birth to children. The world of yesteryears is not the world of today. I kept clamoring for this. And religion people should be checked. So does Nigeria have the hope, at least if they are not there yet, do they have the hope of getting there? Of course, yes, if we are determined. When I was grossly poor, I determined that, no, I want to drop poverty from my lineage, and I dropped it. I educated myself, and I funded, I invest whatever I'm able to get, the little I'm able to get, upon my children, and all the businesses that I tried to put my hands in. They wasted my money, frustrated. Bought shares collapsed. Do farming business collapsed. Even the school that we're running now, we're running it because of passion. I know one day we shall record breakthrough in that one. You can understand what I'm saying. We are troubled everywhere. Why now? Nigeria can get there if we are determined. The resources are still there. Our greedy ones should stop stealing the money. The Zani that I had great respect for, Alice Imadiko, okay, the Zani Agama, I know her very well. I related with her one-on-one in early days. I'm so disappointed as to see what is happening to her now. Where are we carrying this wealth to? And also, this, even if you have assumed me, in worst case scenario, you have all this wealth, why not invest here so that at least this job creation we are talking about, they will be available for the children of everybody. What are you doing with the number of houses you have there? What are you doing with the number of jewelries? What are you doing with the number of cash? The heart of man. You went there humbly, and you got there, you mixed up. And see what it is today. Where is the peace? For those who are not straightforward. I don't pray for this kind of wealth. I don't pray for this. What I always ask myself, the wealth I cannot account for, how I got them transparently. I don't want it. I prefer to be trekking than to be riding Rolls Royce with stolen money. And be short-lived. Where are family values? Africans, we say we have values. Are these the values? And then we say women are not given the position of authority. Here is the position of authority. The woman in the Ministry of Humanitarian Services, the same thing. The period, the woman who was heading the health ministry then, very respected woman. Unfortunately, they managed to get her into trouble. How much was 10 million? That was her share of the, is it bribe or whatever, that brought her low. Till today, her voice is not heard again. Why do you make such monies and you become disgraced at the end of the day? What do you gain? If all of us will change for good, fear God. That's why we keep saying fear God, fear God. When you fear God, you will love God. All these monies will not be important to you. Money will be your servant. And you make the best you can. Your connections alone can fetch you great wealth if you are not greedy when you are in the office. When you are in the office, your connections, what will President Bola Ahmed Tinubu want now that he will not get? President Olusegun Obasanjo was still in government. He was still in power when he built the Bells University, gathered money, donations from people. I don't mind that. When he was building this library, he gathered money from the people. I don't mind that. That is clear initiative. You can account for how much you made and you can account for who gave it to you. If you want to borrow money from the bank, you can borrow. But what happened to the previous borrowing by all these our leaders? They borrowed and then they liquidated the bank so that they won't pay back. What a wicked thing. So if Nigeria has the potential, but it can only get there. Nigeria can only get there if we all changed for the better. If we fear the Lord, when we say fear God, it's only God that can remove greed. I remembered when I was in the office, we used to buy all these gadgets, something equivalent to the current iPhone. My bosses, I was the one that will purchase it for them. And I too, because by virtue of my nature, I needed them. I needed these things to help me. I'm schooling, I'm working, and I have to accomplish my tasks. I need these gadgets like the Scion, we call it Scion, the PDA. So when I saw that I could be tempted to want to own such in a manner that is not consistent with what God wants, I decided to go to our cooperative society. I purchased them on credit and I was using them. Profited me. I wouldn't say because I'm the one buying for my boss, then let me do uru and buy for myself. No. I went to my co-op. That is why all my household materials were bought from places that can be verified up to generator. I use the cooperative society a lot so that my properties can be accounted for, documented. I use credit facilities a lot. I belong to cooperatives that are viable, and they were generating the money I was paying. That was why even when I was leaving my organization, I left with a paltry sum because everything had gone into loans. I took a loan to build my house. It took me 17 years to build the only house I built in Lagos. 17 years. But does it matter to me? After those 17 years, I was at the same level with those who built their own within 3 months. Maybe with stolen money or maybe with honest money, because we have businesses. People who are businessmen who built their houses very fast. Not all of them that are thieves. We can find ways around. I use loans a lot. Bank loans. When I was leaving my organization, I had just taken 5 million naira bank loan, which I used to invest in the shares, thinking that even on my retirement, I will be enjoying dividends. But everything collapsed. That is Nigeria for you. Collapsed. Why? I had to suffer for at least additional 10 years. That was when I was trying to regain myself financially, that I went into farming, and lo and behold, farming failed. Maybe this is why many people are stealing, but they are not enough for stealing, for you to steal. I don't have the cash stashed anywhere, but I have peace of mind. Peace of mind is what God gives you even when you don't have money. Money will come later. But I can feed myself. I don't need much of clothing. I don't need many cars. The only car I had is a gift to me. I'm contented. Godliness with contentment is great gain. We are too greedy. Somebody paying up to the graduation for children that are still in maybe secondary school with stolen money. Why? When your influence can take you to anywhere, why damage the reputation? And why leaving no reputation for the generations after you? And churches will finish you. Government will finish you. So where do you run to? So the fear of tomorrow. This is why the Bible says you should never bother about your tomorrow. Just do what you can today. Give us this day our daily bread. If it is possible for me to have more than I have now, I will praise God. I will do it, but with contentment. I am eager for nothing. I can't own. One thing that made me to laugh was one day I was passing by it's in my autobiography. I was passing by along a street at Oshodi, and I met a former Hausa neighbor that were living together in the same compound. He went to Hajj. We never saw him again. I just met him at the bus stop one day, and he said, "Come and know my house." And he took me to his house, very close to the bus stop. This scamming thing has been on for a long time. No, but people didn't just know. It's not as publicized as it is now. When we got to his living room, I knew I was in trouble. He started persuading me. I made Dan Tata. I made all these great people. Abiola. And your life is not reflecting it yourself. I wondered. He sat me down, brought all these Quranic books down. There are magic books. He gave me a piece of it. I've been hypnotized. There's nothing I could do again. I was just saying yes to whatever he was saying. But thank God for the word of God that's still resident in my heart. And he said, he will make me somebody, he will make me a millionaire. I was looking for school fees. I had, I think, how much on me? Just the little money I had on me that I was gathering for my school. He used to buy lavender and all this nonsense. And he said I should be praying. I sat on a mat. He said I should be praying for whatever I wanted in life. Lo and behold, I prayed. Even though I was in Arabic setting, I prayed in Jesus' name. Everything that I ever uttered from my mouth, quietly, silently, that plain paper he puts in the Quranic book, that book, by the time he brought out the same paper, because with my hand I put it, blank paper, by the time it came out after my prayers, everything that I ever uttered in my life were written in beautiful handwriting. And then accompanied by a ring that he said, if I continue to use it, I will be rich. Then, that was a situation where everything worked for good for those who love God. Everything included poverty for me that day. Poverty helped me to escape that scam. Poverty helped me, number one. Number two, the word of God that is resident in me, the terms and conditions that were placed in that book that I will be worshiping this Alhaji. Whatever he said, I will be saying, doing all my life. And I will bow down for him. I will then, thereafter, before he would give me the ring, I will buy a ram that will take to the Barbish for sacrifice. The magic I saw was enough to convince me. And indeed, on top of that, I was hypnotized to be saying yes to whatever he's saying. But God used poverty to save me. I didn't have the money for the ram. Even though in my heart of hearts, I hated such things. But in my hypnotized state, if I had had that money, I would have paid that thing, and the man would have taken a ram from me. No wonder when we were living together, I ate a lot of ram meat. We never knew. We thought he was butcher. What is it called? Cow butcher or something. Cow seller, cow meat seller. We never knew what he was doing. But he was always well dressed, and he would go and come back in the evening, and the wife would cook delicious. It was then I knew about this macaroni. If an Hausa woman cook this macaroni with their noodle soup and all these things, if they cook it for you, you will get lost. Their soup, when you eat it, you are in Jerusalem. I ate a lot. I was young because they were sending me errands. When the woman cooked beans, Hausa woman, superb. I was enjoying. That was the period, the day I should have paid back for the rams that I ate, ignorantly. But God used poverty to save me. Then, after I managed to live there, I promised him I would come back so that I will bring the money and collect the ring. It was then the Spirit of God started reminding me. What did the Bible say about bowing down your head to other gods? And the spirit that was speaking, say, it was from Rivers, Mississippi. So you shall not bow down your head unto any god, be it underground, be it underneath the water, be it above, be it anywhere. Then it was then that what we have learned, that what shall it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his entire life, his soul? That was when it came to me. If I didn't have the word of God, a lot of them started coming. Then, and he told me, if you went and you didn't come back, you would die. Threat. That would have made me to come back. But my case became Esther's case. If I perish, I perished. I ran away. I never came back. Because again, I asked myself, if suddenly I became so rich overnight, how will I account for it? What will I say I have done to get the money? The wealth I will have that I will not be able to account for, may God not give it to me. Every source of my income must be verifiable. I keep records a lot. That's why I transact a lot through my bank. If you get the statement of my bank accounts from when I started for 24 years, or even the previous accounts you opened in my previous organization. I had done some 10 years work before joining this 24 years one. You check I have bank accounts. If you check all those accounts, that's why I laughed sometimes when we were taken to EFCC for questioning, when I was the vice president of a cooperative society that we ran in my organization. I laughed. Me, I can't speak of others. What will you find against me? That's why I always say, don't be afraid of EFCC if your hands are clean. What will they ask you? They will ask you for all your accounts in this world. That is why don't think you can run. I know the smart ones know how to beat that. Because they don't transact through banks. Anything that do not go through my bank in terms of source of any. Where is it? What did I do that you pay me cash for? Everybody goes through the bank, which is okay. And it's a good one to save you in times of affliction. Everything. They ask us for all our bank accounts in this world that we must not conceal any. I listed them. They checked us on many things. There's nothing incriminating in my life. I was at peace. The only thing that gave me concern was to get somebody to surety for me to stand guarantor for me. That's all. I just looked at it. If I begin to look for the whole world to do guarantor, in the first place, they would think that I've been involved in criminal tendencies, and that's the only thing. But one way or the other, God provided somebody who stood guarantor, and they did all their investigations. I'm here a free man. The only inconvenience you will have is come today, come tomorrow, come today, come tomorrow. That is the price. It's painful. I paid it, but I came out clean. I didn't look. In my organization, auditors came. I generated information that did not need. They were not asking for, because I document a lot. And transactions were transparent because I was handling money. Transactions were transparent. Records were there. There is no one kobo that left my hand to anybody that is not transparently handled and that is not signed for. And that cannot be explained. I went extra mile to generate what will amount to transparency and integrity in matters of money. Money never appealed to me to the point that I would say, let me steal it. No. Not at all. I don't have that weakness. I don't have that weakness. I thank God I don't have that weakness. Today, I give glory to God. If it's public bus that I will enter, I enter it peacefully. If it is my own car I use my car peacefully. If it is Keke Marwa I will ride it peacefully. If it is to trek, I trek peacefully. I lay upon my bed to sleep and sleep peacefully, because peace is the first thing that a true child of God enjoys. Peace, even in the midst of turbulence. Peace has been my portion. Joy has been my portion. I'm not sleeping and afraid that somebody will come and pick me up for fraudulent practices. No. Godliness with contentment is great gain. I will do another thing on that later. Godliness with contentment is not synonymous with you being lazy or you not planning your life. No. Not aspiring to be great in life. No. I will do something on that when I remember and God gives me the grace. Godliness with contentment means be contented with the level you are. While you are aiming higher, you set your plans and you are moving. You have set targets and you can account for all the sources of your income. Does Nigeria have the potential to get there? If all of us are thinking this way, we will not defraud our organization, we will not defraud the government, we will not. EFCC will become irrelevant to this nation. ICPC will have no place. Why are they making all these heavy catches all over the place? The EFCC that people went and are afraid. I went and came back clean. I give glory to God. My conscience is my conscience is my treasure. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to own anything that I cannot account for. So if you are accused, there's nothing wrong with that. But are you able to explain yourself convincingly that what you are accused of did not happen? That was my case. And I give glory to God. I'm not an angel. But I try to follow the path of righteousness. It is painful, but it is gainful at the end of the day, if only for the peace that you will enjoy. Summing it up, is Nigeria a country to be proud of? If I look at the deeds, I won't be proud of Nigeria. But if I look beyond the deeds and see that it's God that made me what I am, and that I cannot renounce my country, that's where God has created me, I'm still proud of Nigeria, even in its present state. I know that what is not there today will come, or what is there that is not enough will become surplus tomorrow. There is hope for Nigeria. God has blessed Nigeria. I won't say God blessed Nigeria. God has blessed Nigeria. It is for us to translate this blessing to benefits to every citizen, so that Nigeria, everybody will enjoy like people are enjoying in the countries that we are proud of. That we are saying God bless America, we are saying God bless Britain. On behalf of every one of you that give testimony, and on behalf of myself and Nigeria, I say God bless all of you, the countries that have made life livable for our people, for accepting them in the first place and giving them the best treatment that they are testifying to. Though there are some countries that had some issues. Even as I was discussing that people testify this and that, somebody was telling me that as we are seeing that there are some countries that, their medical facilities are so expensive that people have to come from overseas to come and get treated here. That's what I got. But I don't know. Everybody has different, so that's why I'm speaking from my perspective, what I saw in Nigeria. Speak from your own perspective too. But in any way, let us help to build Nigeria. Nigeria of our dream shall come one day. And I pray that it gets far, far better than this before I leave Nigeria. Back home to my Creator. God bless you. Thanks for listening. And in this matter, I really will appreciate your true and frank comments. And as you are doing that, you know that you are building Nigeria. That's your contribution. God bless you. Have a very wonderful day. Send this message up to the presidency. Send this message, those of you in diaspora, send it to all your contacts. Those of you who are in Nigeria, this is Nigeria. And how do you sing that song? I love Nigeria, my country. Now here I go live and die. and so on and so forth. Even though we've not jackpot, I said if I had the chances, the opportunity, I will go. But it doesn't mean that I will disown the country. If my head wears the crown tomorrow and I find myself in a vantage position, I will help to build Nigeria the more. I won't pass the comments that will further denigrate Nigeria. I will see what I can do to influence. Life is all about leadership. Life is all about influence. What position you are using to influence anything that will benefit your country. That's where Badenoch didn't get it right. She's angry, I know. But in the midst of shedding tears, we still manage to see where we are going. Let us all gather together to build Nigeria. Nigeria is like a family. All right? When I say it's like a family, you know what it means. There's family bonding. We are bonded with this nation, Nigeria. And a family, it is the blood that joins them together. In Nigeria, what joins together is that name, the unity that we have to say we are a Nigerian. Nigeria, you know, there are many nations inside. That we are living together is an achievement, and I pray that our living together will bring us profit in Yehoshua's name. Please share it widely, like the video, subscribe. Don't just look at it and listen to it passively. God bless you. I want to, at this time, acknowledge and praise people like Auntie Adoni, Maureen Badejo, Daddy Freeze, the pioneer of it all, Adelaja, what's that first name? The one in Ukraine, the formerly in Ukraine. Then people like Soma Aku, before she came back to Nigeria, she did the best. In fact, she was one of those people that I first met on the YouTube planet. And people like Awikoko, the Rotimi Daniels, Auntie Adoni, we all belong to the Redeemed family before. We had our experiences and we are sharing them. I will not stop sharing them until the Redeemed Christian Church of God gets better. All the nonsense they are doing, serving the God of Mammon, must come to an end in the interest of the populace. The campaign should be a sustained one. Nobody should be tired. God has sent us to do something for this nation, if only to transform its moral content. That these so-called Jews are breaching by the day, killing, destroying destiny, maiming destinies. We should not forget. It's a crime against humanity. The new step that Awikoko Rotimi is doing now is superb. Bring them out, those who are messing up other people's destiny. Let them expose them. So God bless you. God bless you. Check the number of hours that I've spent. That's my contribution to advancing the cause of Nigeria and the cause of humanity. Have a very wonderful time. Bye.